Hey everybody, this is Rebel Builder, and what I have here are my modified versions of the Resistance Ski Speeder that come from the Battle of Crait set. Now I made some changes to the build, and I also did 3 unique colors. So starting with the red one here, now this is the original set. I made no changes to this one, and I wanted to use that as a comparison to show what I did with the other two. But I want to start by saying I like this set a lot. I think the build was really fun, and I think they did some really clever techniques, and it's a very strong, durable set. There was just a few changes I wanted to make, mainly to the width. I took this set and I modified these sections here, and I also did some modifications here. Now the changes I made are subtle, and hopefully this shot here comparing the two builds will kind of give you kind of a sense of how much I did change it as far as the width. Really what the dimensions ended up being is I came in about 2.5 studs on this side, and I think 2 studs on this side. So the whole build got narrower by almost 5 studs. Really not much, but just a little bit. And to me, it does make a big difference. You can also see I did a lot of changes to this section here. I like the technique that they used of the lift arms and holding things together, but I just wanted to cover up some of that stuff a little bit more. So the way that I achieved the shorter section here is, first I just dove in and took it apart. Whenever I make a modification to one of these sets, I just want to say don't be afraid to take it apart. You've got the directions, you've got all the parts. So if you get lost or whatever, you can always go back to the original. But what I did was I used a couple of shorter lift arms in here. And then, there's the connection here to the gun pod that have the 2x1s with the 2 holes in them. And so I changed those out to the 2x1 with the 1 hole in them. And what that did is that eliminated this 1/2 stud gap there. And so next it was a matter of sliding everything over. And so there's this 3x12 wedge plate in dark bluish gray here. And so this one actually sticks into the gun pod by 2 studs. That's kind of another way that I shortened it up. And you can see there's a little gap here to make up for the wedge plate. And as we look closer here at the gun pods, you'll notice the first change I made was to remove the spring-loaded shooters. Not a fan of those, and anytime I make a change or a modification to a set or a ship, that's the first thing that comes off. And there's also this subtle detail of how these cannons come out. If you look at some of the images, the pictures, and scenes from the movie, you can see that these cannons actually come out underneath this kind of curved section here. So another change was to just move those down a couple of plates so that they looked like they were sticking out from underneath. And once I made the structural changes to this section, it allowed me to come back in and use some more of the curved slopes. Now these are some of my favorite pieces. So you can tell I added a whole row here, and this was really what would be covering up some of the lift arm here. And just added another row here using a 2x3 here. And you can see I did add some of the stickers. I got a couple of extra sticker sheets. And I didn't use all the stickers because some of those have red, but adding little bits of detail here and here I thought really helped. Now for the cockpit side, the changes were different internally. The build was actually a little different on the inside. So there was a 1x16 Technic brick here with the holes inside. I swapped that out for a 1x14, so everything got 2 studs shorter. And from that point, there was a few pieces inside that I had to take out and then slide everything over. So it required quite a bit of reconstruction of the cockpit here. So you can see this dark bluish gray wedge plate, this 3x12, it actually got pushed over into the cockpit to this, gray, light gray section here. So you can see that that's how much the build got more narrower. But you can see I added a little more round slope here, just kind of getting it all to fit and blend in together. You'll also notice that the real set has a 3x6 black wedge plate. I swapped those out for light bluish gray, just to, give it a little more gray. I kind of reserved the black on this one to be just for the little details. And you can see by looking at the middle section here that I didn't make any changes to this. I do think it was a very clever design using the lift arms and how all that worked, and it also makes it for a very strong build. The set is very durable, very strong, very swishable, and so I didn't want to mess that up. Okay, now let's talk about color. You can see that I did 3 different colors for this, and I didn't just make these up. So what I did was just studied the Battle of Crait, trying to get little glimpses of the ski speeder anywhere I could in those scenes. And it's kind of interesting how few really good shots of the outside of these vehicles you really see, but there are distinct colors. So in these builds, I have Finn in the sand blue one, I have Poe in the dark orange, and Rose in the original set, the dark red. Now, let's talk about Finn. There's actually a shot in The Last Jedi where it's kind of a close-up, and you can see a panel of blue kind of out here on the wing. Now, to me, that looks very much like sand blue. Now, as far as, the movie, and it's kind of having this washed out, really bright color look to it because of the white background, maybe that's just regular blue. We did get this microfighter version in blue, and, maybe that's the color that it was intended to be. But, anytime, if you follow me, you know that anytime I can use sand blue, I'm going to do it. And I think it looks very sand blue, and I think this version really turned out great. Now for Poe's version here in dark orange, there's 2 things that led me to dark orange. One was I saw a concept art image of the Resistance ski speeder, and it had dark orange, or kind of an old faded, just regular orange look to it. And that was the first thing, but if you watch The Last Jedi, you kind of study some of those scenes. To me, his version does look different. It looks like it could be orange or dark orange in this case. And this is one of those exotic colors that you don't really get to use a whole lot in Star Wars. So I went ahead and did this version. But I think the variation between the ships, I think that really serves kind of what we're going for, the Star Wars universe, how not all of these ships were the same and they'd been mothballed for a long time. Now let's talk about Rose's version here. Again, the real set. You watch those scenes and there are definitely versions in dark red. That's kind of the one that you see the most in the movie. So, that color scheme works very well. But as far as Rose's ship, there is one shot of Rose and you actually do see the whole ship. Her ski speeder is almost all just gray, but I wanted to keep one of these as close to the original set as I could. And again, some of these stickers on the set have dark red in them. I wanted to keep those. And so I wanted to have Rose's ship. I wanted to have her in one of these versions. So I just left hers as the red version. And here's just a closer look at Finn's sand blue version. You can see all of the colors that would have been dark red internally there, like those jumpers. Those all I just swapped out for sand blue. My initial plan for this one was to build everything in dark tan. So there are still little splashes of dark tan from the original build, and here and here. Now, I didn't buy 3 versions of the set. I actually had quite a few of these parts. A lot of common parts, a lot of extra lift arms. So I just put these in a parts list, a wanted list on Bricklink, and changed out a few colors, and I only had to order just a few of the specialized parts, like these little bars with the plate on the end. Now here's a closer look at Poe's dark orange version. Now when you're dealing with these a little more exotic colors like dark orange, there is some limited part availability. You can see here I have a 1x4 and a 1x2. They don't make a 1x6 in dark orange yet. But you just kind of make do. Luckily they do quite a few things like the jumpers and some of the round slopes. Unfortunately, they don't do the 1x2 round slope. That's one of my favorite pieces. But you can just see little splashes of dark orange all through the build here. Again, just trying to initially replace all of the dark red colors with dark orange. And just one last thought on the color, having these three colors, the sand blue, dark orange, and dark red together, I think they all look very good together. I think they complement each other very well. And so now that I've done these two versions, I am going to make the modifications to the real set. I just wanted to keep that one intact so that I could show all of you the differences. Alright, so that's it for my modified Resistance ski speeders. I really like this vehicle. I really like the real set, and I'm happy with my own little modifications. I do think that it just kind of gives it a little more of a finished look, you know, especially like in this section here, you know, covers up some of the lift arms, kind of looks a little more put together. But all in all, still really happy with the original set. So I'd love to hear what all of you think. So leave me a comment down below and let's talk about this thing. I'm sure the color will cause a little bit of controversy, but you know, hey, let's talk about it. I'd appreciate a thumbs up on this video. That always helps things. And if you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'm really working hard on trying to get new videos out for you guys, and I've got some new builds in the works, and you don't want to miss out on those. So thanks for watching, everybody. I'll be back soon.